You know, Danny just hosted the #1 moon landing hoax debunker, Bart Sibrel, who you have an amazing episode with, and one of the last living Apollo astronauts, Charlie Duke, who's 90 years old, and they went at it.
Yeah, I know. Danny texted me clips. He also told me that now he's convinced we didn't go to the moon.
Dude, he said that to me too. He was like, I think maybe they were MK Ultra to think they went to the moon, because he just kept, apparently Charlie Duke just kept saying the same thing, which is like, I'm telling you how to bring back 200 pounds of moon rocks.
We spent 72 hours on the moon. We brought back 200 pounds of moon rocks or thereabouts. Where did 200 pounds of moon rocks come from?
We just showed you. Von Braun picked him up from Antarctica. There's a picture of that on the web, picking up lunar meteorites before he went to the moon for the first time. Seems like a weird use of his time. Moon rocks have proven to be fake. And according to a contractor that I spoke to at length, he says NASA has ceramics labs which can mimic moon rocks.
Well, I walked on the moon. I don't know about anybody else, but John
Young. You keep saying that. We know that. We've been saying it for 56 years, and you're not going to admit your guilt. Nobody who was, brought to trial for
we're just trying
crime
to.
ever admitted
we're going
their guilt
through
either.
each piece of evidence and trying to rationally analyze what it means and let the audience decide.
Well, imagine, look, I described my dream and my memory of my dream, which is really just my memory of my recollection of my dream. Imagine what his is like. What is his memories like? I can tell you memories of profound things like knockouts from fights that I had. I don't really remember them that well. Like somebody sent me a video that's on YouTube of me knocking out this guy in 1987 with a spinning back kick to the body. And it's like kind of crazy video because the guy goes flying through the air.
It's your famous kick.
I barely remember it. Barely remember it because I fought so many times, but also it's just too long ago. I know I did it. And then I saw the video. I was like, oh, that's how it happened. Wow. That's kind of crazy. But I don't really remember it. I remember my retelling of my memory. And now imagine it's a retelling of a memory from 1969. And you're fucking Biden's age.
Yep.
You're out there, man. He's barely there. If you listen to that guy when he's talking, like he's got a old battery brain.
Absolutely.
He's not like those dudes in the Sumerian Kings list that are 30,000 years out and sharp as a tack. No, this guy's he's old,
Yeah.
I think
but the Bart episode, like your Bart episode, and you steel man the entire time, the conventional, he
got very frustrated that I was doing that.
He did, but you had to do it.
You have to.
You have to. And I came out of that being like, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I invest in space stuff, and I have a lot of friends in that world, and they are adamant that we went to the moon. There's supposedly lunar imagery that, of the landing site, the Apollo landing site, but it's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff too. You were talking about the flammability of, for example, hyperbaric chambers.
Yeah.
There's that whole Gus Grissom, the guy who was supposed to walk on the moon, who they reversed the doors and then they made it 100% oxygen. Then he blew up inside the thing.
Also, Gus Grissom had hung a lemon on a hanger. He hung a lemon on a coat hanger outside of that thing because he said, we can't even communicate with the tower. How are we ever going to communicate when we're in space?
He was so frustrated, he kept complaining up the chain of command they wouldn't fix anything because the higher-ups knew they weren't going to go and hadn't committed yet to faking it and therefore hadn't told the astronauts yet. And in his fury, without permission, he held a press conference. He invited in a bunch of reporters to the top of the rocket where he affixed a lemon the size of a grapefruit on a coat hanger. He said, this thing is a lemon, a piece of junk, made the evening news. And a few days later, he dies. His wife told me that on January 26, 1967, he came home from work and said the following, "Hun, for some strange reason, the CIA is all over the launch pad today. I wonder why they're here inspecting the equipment. Never seen him here before." He's dead the very next day from faulty equipment.
So crazy.
This is what I say to people that think this is all foolish. Watch the Apollo 11 post-flight press conference. Watch it. It's like a hostage video. It's three guys that look like they're completely full of shit. They look nervous. They're fumbling. It's interesting. There's a guy online who is he's a body language expert, and he watched it and gave his notes on it. He's like, these guys are clearly being deceptive. Like, they're being deceptive. They're being deceptive. They're uncomfortable. They don't like that they have to do this. The way Neil Armstrong is describing the flight is so fucking bizarre. And then he gives this speech 25 years later at the anniversary of the moon landing to all the brightest high school kids. And he says,
there are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Yeah, like, what does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? Why don't you just say, hey, I went to the moon.
Yeah, that's right.
I went to the moon, and you guys, one day you'll go to Mars, and we will colonize the galaxy, and thank you to you brave, brilliant young students for pushing ahead and carrying the torch that, we took to the moon on Apollo 11. Like, no.
Yep.
It's weird stuff, man. There's also Michael Collins in the press conference clearly says we couldn't see any stars. We couldn't see any stars.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
Then in his own book, which I think he wrote in 1994, he talks about how magnificent the stars were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, fuckface, you weren't even supposed to be on the moon. Okay? You were up there. They were on the moon. Like, did you forget? Like, what? I don't recall seeing any stars. Well, you're in the fucking thing. Did you remember the script? You're in the thing. You're not on the ground. The intersecting shadows, people like to try to dismiss them. They say, oh, well, it could be because of the topography, and it could also be more than one light source, and that's more likely. When you got a shadow going like this and a shadow going like that, well, we know we went to the moon, so let's come up with another explanation. Let's not assume we went to the moon, and let's look at that and say, is that the sun, or is that multiple light sources at close range? It seems like there's a hot spot. It seems like there's multiple light sources at close range. And then there's videos that clearly show some sort of a reflection of wires. When they're bouncing around on the moon's surface, if you speed it up, it looks preposterous because it looks like they're just in slow-mo. There's videos that it looks like they're bouncing around on trampolines. The physics are not the same in Apollo 11 as they are on Apollo 15 and 16. All of a sudden, they can cover great distances. They're doing these weird, giant, long leaps that they weren't doing before. The whole thing's weird. It's
really
also
weird.
during a time where they were completely full of shit about everything.
You had 3 networks.
They lied about the Gulf of Tonkin incident that led us into Vietnam. They lied about who killed JFK. They lied about everything.
MK Ultra.
Everything. Charles Manson. Everything was bullshit. All of it was bullshit. Operation Northwoods. There was all these things that were going on at the same time. So it's like they were more than accustomed to lying. Why would they tell the truth and nothing but the truth about this one thing?
And the Gemini 15 photo, I think, as you pointed out, is verifiably fake.
Yes.
So we know that they did fake.
Explain what that photo was.
Do you want to explain it?
Well, it's Michael Collins, and it's Michael Collins purportedly doing a spacewalk. But really, it was a training mission where they had him strapped in these harnesses, and they just blacked out the background and pretended he was in space.
And we know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yes.
So we know they were lying. We also know, I don't know if you watched my episode with Bart, but Bart has this footage of where they're running images of the Apollo photographs through AI to detect whether or not they've been manipulated.
Play the clip, D27, where Putin was at this conference, the AI conference of 2 years ago in Moscow. They were allowed to play with this AI that's not available to the public, 10 AIs scrolled together, and it said the Apollo pictures were fake.
То есть почти все объекты на этом фото ей кажутся ненастоящими. В то же время вот фотография китайского лунохода у нее особенных вопросов не вызывает.
А это то, что кажется не настоящим?
Да, вот то, что красное.
Это как бы гугловская, не наша. Так, чтобы не было предвзятости.
So there will be no bias. It's surprising, but it does believe so. The neural network has analyzed a lot of data, including light and dark contrast, etc. And then it believes the photo is synthetic.
I saw that. And
yeah.
Putin is looking at the video and he's like not surprised that checks out as fake.
My friend who was from Russia said that in high school they were teaching that the moon landing was a hoax.
No way.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Now, I don't know if that was just one cool teacher that was like, bro, I saw this documentary.
Yeah.
Or if it was like standard that they would teach that the moon landing was bullshit.
Well, you have the Van Allen radiation belt, and Danny brings this up on his podcast where James Van Allen, who, it's named after, is saying that is 150 times what a normal human can take radiation-wise.
Right.
And once you're there, you get incinerated.
Also, they never even sent a chicken through that and had it come back alive.
And I think Werner von Braun's on record saying, like, this is impossible. Like, you can't do this.
Not only that, we'll say, there's a hole over Antarctica and because it's a donut-shaped thing. Yeah, but that's not where you went through. If you follow the path. Also, all the telemetry data was destroyed, which is crazy. That's the exact telemetry, the distance between the module and the rocket and the Earth, and at every stage of the mission. All that's destroyed. The original footage is destroyed. We have copies. Well, it's all we have is copies. So you can't tell, like, this is clearly manipulated. This is they monkeyed around with these images. So it's like there's so much of it that leads you to think that it's a hoax. And then there's also the big one. The big one is, name one other thing from 1969 that's not cheaper, easier, and faster to reproduce today.
That's right.
One, moon travel, space travel. That's the only one.
It's the only one. Yeah.
It's the only one.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy is if you look at Starship, which is 5,000 metric tons, so it's 2 times the size of the Saturn V rocket, it has to go to low Earth orbit. It burns up 9/10 of its fuel tank just to get there. And then another one has to go up, do butt-to-butt refueling with it. You have to do that 10 times before you get a full Starship, and then that thing will go to the moon.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And we're just experimenting with this now. Like we have issues. I think we just upgraded the amount of Raptor engines on Starship.
Yeah,
so
I was
like,
just there.
You were just there?
Yeah.
You were in Brownsville? Cool.
I guess that's what it's called, Brownsville.
I think so.
It's
in Texas?
Yeah, on the border of Mexico. Yeah. I watched the launch.
How was that?
Insane.
Was it Falcon 9 or Starship?
It's 2 miles away. I don't know which one it was. It's 2 miles away, and you feel it in your chest. It's 2 miles away, and you have to wear earplugs. 2 miles away. That's 2 miles away. You're putting foam in your ears, and still it's like, and you're like, whoa. His kids start freaking out. There's a video that I put online where his kid's like, I want to go inside. Like you could tell, like the kid was like, what the fuck? And it's 2 miles away.
That's so wild.
It's nuts. And so think of the Saturn V was, not as good as that.
Yeah, and on the first try, SpaceX almost went bankrupt. Elon's I think should be kind of heralded for this. He poured a lot of his own money into it, and it by the seat of his pants, succeeded on the 4th attempt. If that had blown up by his own admission, the company would have failed. And the only aerospace feat in the United States that we've ever pulled off perfectly on time is the moon landing.
Yeah,
and it's with humans on board. Pretty interesting.
There's also the uncovered footage that Bart has that shows them saying that they're 230,000 miles out or
130,000.
130,000, halfway, right? They're halfway to the moon. And they're filming this through a window, and they're saying that the camera, while they're saying in the recording, the camera is pressed against the glass so we get a view of Earth. But when the film plays out, you realize they're in a larger room. The camera's further back. They've blacked out everything except this one round window. And through that round window, you're getting this vision of what the Earth looks like. You think the Earth is that big. And then as they pull the covers off the other windows, you're like, oh, you guys are in Earth's orbit.
Yes.
Like you just took a circle of the Earth and pretended it's the whole Earth.
You see the astronaut's arm moving between the camera.
You see people moving in between the camera and the window. And you're like, what's the explanation of that?
Yeah.
If you really are 130,000 miles out, why is the Earth so bright?
Yeah.
Why are you so close?
David Percy, a cinematographer, award-winning BBC cinematographer, said they took a photograph from an unmanned satellite and they had like a positive or kind of like an X-ray, but a color print that was translucent, and they put it over the window. The camera was never up against the glass. It was at the back of the spacecraft. They closed the iris down so that the walls became black, and here they are removing part of the effect in front of the window.
Would it be that bright?
Yeah.
130,000 miles away. If that window was facing the Earth
No,
at 130,000 miles out, is that how bright it would be?
it's facing more to the sun than the Earth.
Well, the video's claiming, according to the video, Neil is saying that that's the Earth.
That wouldn't be the Earth.
That would not be the Earth.
That picture's not the Earth.
No.
Well, it is the Earth. That's the reflection off of the Earth.
Because I'm also a cinematographer, and I would say that window, that's probably the color of the window, and the sun is, can you see this mouse? Yeah, the sun is probably somewhere over here poking through. You can see these rays shooting in right there.
Or you're in low Earth orbit and you faked it because no satellite, no space station, no human being for sure, other than the Apollo astronauts, has ever been more than 300 miles. They get to right there, and that's it, and they come back down. The only people that have gone past that, including the Russians, the only people are the Apollo astronauts.
Yep.
That's it.
And then you have the Apollo Goodwill Tour, where I think it was through Neil Armstrong, the American ambassador ended up with this moon rock or whatever.
Yes.
Went to the former prime minister of the Netherlands, gave him
Yes.
the thing. This thing was like insured, put in a museum for like a
Yes.
whole lot of money.
Yep.
And then like 2007 or 8 or something, they're like, this is petrified wood. It's so crazy.
They didn't even give him an asteroid.
That's
They didn't even take a meteorite. They took a fucking piece of wood. Like, here, stupid. Hey, we got this from the moon, bro. You should be thanking us.
What was the biggest moon rock that you brought back?
Big Muley I picked up. Go left. Is that Big Muley?
Moon
We
rocks.
picked up that one, Big Muley.
Okay.
On
Yeah,
the
it
right.
looks absolutely nothing like the petrified wood on the left.
No.
Yeah, the whole thing is it's so brazen, and it's so clunky. The whole thing's so clunky. And the filming of it, the first time they filmed it was the first time that the news stations weren't allowed to have a direct feed. So they had to point their cameras at a projection screen. And that's why it looks so crappy. When you watch it on TV, it looks weird because they wanted it to make it as weird as possible because like it's not that good. Like they don't want people going, that's fake, you know? And look, there's a bunch of people that were involved in the moon landing that wound up dying. You know, one of them, I wish I could remember his name. I used to be like knee deep into this every day, and I used to be able to remember this guy's name. But this guy was hired by NASA. You'll probably find his name. He was hired by NASA to give an assessment of what the probability of their success was. And he said NASA was in such complete disarray and the moon landing program was so dysfunctional that there was no chance that they were going to get to the moon in 5 years. That guy parked his car on a train track with his family inside of it.
No.
And died. Yeah.
Then exactly 1 week after he testified, Barron's car was struck by a train. Barron, his wife, and stepdaughter were killed instantly.
And that 500-page report vanished.
No way.
Yep. Nobody ever saw it again.
And who does that with their family if they're not coerced? Like taking
I don't
yourself out
think
is
they-
one
I don't
thing.
think he did that. I think they killed him.
That's
I think they killed
100%,
him and they
yeah.
killed his family and they put him on this fucking train track. Well, it was either his family or his wife. I forget what it was, but
Jesus.
yeah, we wrote a 500-page report on what disarray NASA was in, and they killed him. And Gus Grisham's family to this day believes that they murdered him because he was saying that the program was a lemon.
They said the CIA was on the landing pad right after he did that
Yeah.
little press conference thing. And
Yeah. There's very few explanations to why that happened the way it happened. When they reversed the door, they sealed them inside of it. They couldn't get out. They didn't even make any sense.
And then you have the fact that Neil Armstrong, you know, his second mission when he's back on land was to this thing, the Teos Cave. Have you heard of this? Do you know what this is?
No.
In 1975, he brought a BBC film crew to explore what he thought was, you know, maybe an alien cave at the edge of the Amazon in Ecuador. This had been in the lore for like many years. In fact, Eric Von Daniken, who we both had lunch with, talks about this in the Chariots of the Gods. Is like, it's this cave that contains ancient alien metallic artifacts.
Whoa.
So I think it's so fascinating that Neil Armstrong you know, who presumably you'd think would be dogmatically opposed to aliens, like wouldn't be into this at all. Like you think of Edgar Mitchell as the only Apollo astronaut who's into aliens.
Right.
His second mission is on land trying to find this Teos cave with this crew. It's so trippy.